Let me tell you a story that started with a sidewalk chalk dragon and ended in a federal courtroom. It was a sleepy Saturday in Willow Creek, a tucked-away suburb in Oregon, where folks mow their lawns on Sundays and argue over fence heights at HOA meetings. My wife, Rachel, was flipping hot dogs on the grill, the sun casting that golden hour glow across our backyard. Our 12-year-old son, Mason, was kneeling on the driveway, proudly adding flames to his chalk masterpiece. A sunglasses-wearing dragon, shooting fire at a tiny HOA office. "Look, Mum," he grinned. "I made the fire curl, like you taught me." Rachel laughed. "Maybe that'll keep Mr. Hanley from leaving another violation notice on our porch." We all chuckled. See, our HOA president, Leonard Hanley, had a legendary obsession with enforcing the most obscure rules. No blue planters, birdhouses, must face south, that kind of stuff. But lately, something had changed. Hanley stopped showing up. No more notices, no more meetings. In his place, people began getting enforcement visits from men in off-brand uniforms, calling themselves the Community Preservation Force. No one knew who hired them, but the fear was real. That fear exploded into our lives minutes later. A black SUV with no plates screeched to a halt in front of our house. Two men jumped out, stocky, slurring, dressed like rejected mall cops. One held a brown bottle, the other a clipboard. Both had CPF stenciled across their chests. The shorter one, reeking of whiskey and misplaced authority, staggered toward Mason. "You're defacing shared visual space," he barked. "That's a violation under Section 9B. Mason froze. "It's just chalk on our driveway. Visible from the street means it's community property," the man snarled. Rachel stepped forward. "He's a child. Back off. Ma'am, step away from CPF business." The taller one slurred his hand, twitching near his waistband like he was about to pull a taser. Or worse. I dropped the spatula and moved between them. "This is insane. You're trespassing. You need to leave." That's when it happened. The short one lunged. Mason tried to run, but he was grabbed. And then, God help me, he bit my son. On the ear, hard like a rabid animal. Mason screamed a sound so primal, it split the air. Blood streamed down his neck. Rachel lunged, got shoved to the ground. I lost it. I tackled the man, pounded his face until my knuckles were raw. Neighbors spilled out. Phones were recording. Someone shouted. They bit the kid. 3 minutes later, real police arrived. They took one look at my son, clutching his head. Shirt soaked in blood. And everything got very real, very fast. Both men were cuffed. One kept muttering, "He provoked me." I told him not to draw smug dragons. An officer turned to us. "These aren't real enforcers," she said, inspecting the fake badges. "These guys made this stuff at home." Mason was rushed to the hospital. The cartilage was too mangled to reattach. His ear was gone. And for the first time in his life, Mason didn't say a word. Not in the ambulance, not even to Rachel. We found out later those two weren't just random drunks on a power trip. They were part of a rogue group, calling themselves CPF, a vigilante outfit masquerading as HOA enforcement. But here's the twist. The man funding and organizing it all. Leonard Hanley. Yeah, the same HOA president who vanished. Turns out, he didn't disappear. He went underground, radicalized by a growing movement online that believed HOAs had become too soft, that communities needed civilian enforcement. He called it preservation through pressure. Others just called it insane. Hanley recruited ex-bouncers, failed security guards, anyone willing to slap on a badge and flex authority. They used intimidation, fake fines, even threats of child services reports if residents didn't comply. We weren't their first victims, but we were the loudest. The story went viral. Footage of the bite. My tackle Mason's blood. It exploded across social media. Hashtags trended. Late-night shows joked about chalk wars in suburbia. But behind the headlines, we were shattered. Until we decided we wouldn't just survive, we'd fight back. My brother Dave, a retired firefighter with a Glock and zero patience, helped me dig. We traced CPF activity across 3 counties. Found other families they harassed. One woman gave us a voicemail. This is Officer Brent from CPF. Non-compliance will result in enforcement. We tracked Brent. Real name, Todd Carmichael. 4 DUIs barred from security work. Then we got the break. Dave discovered CPF had registered under a Shell LLC enclave, Oversight Solutions. Guess whose name was on the papers? Leonard freaking Hanley. Turns out he bought a storage facility on the edge of town where they stockpiled uniforms, fake citations, and riot gear like a prepper camp. For HOA wannabes, we brought the evidence to the DA. They were skeptical until we flew a drone over the compound, caught everything on camera. Boxes marked CPF chalkboards with neighborhood maps, faces of recruits. The feds moved in. Days later, Hanley was arrested mid-latte, his militia scattered like ants. And the trial? Oh, it was brutal. The prosecutor called it suburban terrorism. They showed the drone footage, Mason's injury. The manifesto, Hanley wrote, order through civilian compliance. Neighbors testified. One paid $300 to avoid a fake noise. Fine. Another was threatened because her grandkids played in the sprinkler too loudly. Then I took the stand. I told the jury what I saw. A man biting my son, another shoving my wife, a kid bleeding on our driveway. Then Mason walked up, 12 years old, one ear missing, in a clip-on tie, standing tall. What did he say to you? The prosecutor asked. Mason looked straight ahead. He said, my dragon drawing broke the rules. Then he bit me. What did it feel like? Mason paused like he wanted to eat me. You could hear the courtroom's breath catch. Then, with chalk in hand, Mason held up a drawing, a superhero missing an ear, holding a shield that read, real strength doesn't pretend. The jury didn't even blink. Guilty on every count. Hanley got life without parole. His cronies, 40 years each. The courtroom erupted. One juror, A Vietnam vet stood and saluted Mason, and Mason, he draws. Every day, his chalk murals cover the sidewalks like war stories. Kids with lightning scars, dragons with shields, robots saving neighborhoods. We founded a non-profit called the Real Badge Project, educating communities on how to spot fake authority. Rachel runs workshops. Dave speaks to veterans about standing guard at home. Mason, he's the face of the movement. Last month, we opened a memorial pavilion on the very cul-de-sac where he was attacked. Mason cut the ribbon. Then he picked up a piece of chalk and drew a badge on the pavement. But instead of CPF or HOA, it had one word: truth. So if you're watching this, I have one question for you. What would you do if fake power showed up on your street? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever dealt with an abusive HOA or someone pretending to have authority? Drop your story below, because sometimes the only way to stand tall is to speak up. And remember, real power protects, fake power falls, and chalk never lies.